Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We're here to talk with flooring professionals from all across the country about the issues that matter to you. This week's guests are Nate Hall and returning guest Scott Zito. They talk about their involvement with NFIC and why you should consider becoming certified as well. We also touch on a few business tips. Nate Hall, do I have you on the line?
Yes, I am here.
Awesome. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. Thank you for joining us. Scott Zito, do I have you on the line?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm good. Welcome back to the formerly Floored-U-Cation Pro podcast, now Floor Academy. So returning guest, technically. You guys are both NFIC installer, so natural fiber installer certification. You guys are both certified through them, and I want to talk certified carpet installation on a high end.
Perfect.
So you gentlemen are the ones to do it. So Nate, you are probably going to be a little bit better at this. No offense, Scott. Why don't you tell me where NFIC came from, how it originated, all that fun, good. Well, actually, I got to take this back. Boy, I'm jumping the gun. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and give us a little bit about you? So we'll start with Nate, and then we'll let Scott go, and then we can get into where NFIC came from.
Okay, so I started in '75 doing weekends and summers and the occasional. You're going to be sick today because I have a big job working with my stepfather as a flunky, and I kind of liked it. But as soon as I turned 18, I was getting paid at 25 cents a yard at that point. So I'd put in 100 yards with him and I'd get $25. But hey, a six pack was $2 and an ounce of weed was 15. So that was pretty good money in those days.
It's a good point.
Okay.
But then as soon as I turned 18, I got like factory jobs. I worked in a couple of different foundries. I did some landscaping. I did a few different jobs, but they all kind of sucked in their own special way. And that going to other people's homes and putting in flooring started looking better and better. And I think it was about 2.5 years or so out of it. And I got back into it and I bought my tools. I've been doing it ever since. And so I've got about little over 40 years on the floor under my belt. And I met PJ at a CFI certificate or at a CFI convention in Texas. And I signed up. I did not actually take the certification until years later, and he kept trying to give me my money back. I'm like, no, I'll get the certification. I want the certification, but it never seemed to work out where I had time when he was doing it. But it took a few years, and I did finally get NFIC certified, and now I'm actually an NFIC certifier, and I help train guys in this very, very lucrative portion of the carpet industry.
Okay. Well, you said something interesting is that it took you about 2.5 years to get back into flooring, and you bought all your own tools. So you probably went from 25 cents a yard to like 32?
No, actually, I was apprenticing with another installer at that time, and he was paying me $10 an hour cash. With that, I was able to support a girlfriend and my own apartment and, various cars and whatnot. That was actually okay money in those days.
In the early 80s, I would say $10 an hour cash is probably really good money.
Yeah, that was early 80s. And
that'll support all sorts of habits.
Right. And in about the mid 80s, I started working for myself, where I thought I was working for myself. I was actually working for the stores, several different stores, and they were just totally taking advantage of me. I found out later, whatever they paid me, they charged the client double. Mm-hmm. So I was getting 2, they were charging 4.
Yeah.
And then when I got up to $3 and $4 a yard, they were charging $8 and $9 a yard for my very same services. That working for stores is really easy, but it's really not going to get you there. You really, there's other ways to make money in this industry without having to be a slave to a store.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So, Scott, go ahead and give us a little background on you again.
Okay, well, I'm Scott Zito, owner of Bellavoro Carpet and Luxury Flooring in Kansas City, Missouri. Well, Kansas City, Kansas, and Missouri. Well, I got into this trade back in '96. Graduated high school, went to culinary school, Johnson and Wales in Rhode Island. Basically, I was chef by night, carpet guy by day. I actually apprenticed the carpet installer who worked for my parents' floor store for about 8 years. Then I actually kind of got more involved in the business and started doing all the estimates and all the measures, and eventually started doing all the carpet installations. And back in 2008, when the recession hit, we sold the business. I moved from Connecticut to Pennsylvania to New York City to Kansas City, where I've been here for 6 years. Pretty much made a name for myself out here, kind of as the guy who liked to do all the difficult jobs, the higher end materials, the stairs with the spindles, the upholstery. And then decided, kind of like Nate, that I was tired of working for stores and I wanted to open my own business. I already knew how to run a floor store. I knew how to deal with reps, how to order, how to build displays. I've built hundreds and hundreds of carpet displays and flooring displays. So I did that about a year ago. I started building my store, and I've been open for several months now. And now I am involved with NFIC, Natural Fiber Installers. And basically, we just want to, get guys in the trade to teach them how to install the higher end wovens and the wools, the flat weaves, stuff like that that they're not really they're familiar with, but they're not really qualified to install. They don't know how to install them. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Well, you guys always amaze me because you post up pictures of you with sewing machines, and it blows my mind what you're able to do. So and you're going about it. You're in there hand sewing stuff on site. You're seaming it in funny ways, and you're surging, and I don't even know what you're doing. I'll be honest, but you make you both make some really pretty stuff.
Yeah, the hand sewing is really what drew me, because I love the craft of whatever anybody does, whether you're an engineer or you're a carpet installer or you're a hardwood guy. It doesn't matter. Like, it's the whole craft. You're doing this for a reason, and the guys that are really into what they do, and they're the integrity of what they do is really what drew me in. And hand sewing, like it was done 150 years ago, I was like, man, I want to learn how to do that. I've pulled up carpet before. 25 years ago, I remember pulling up carpet that was hand sewn at the seams. And I mean, that carpet looked so good. It was flat. There was no wrinkles. The seams still looked good. Today you walk into a job, you pull up a piece of rug that's only 10 years old and the seam's falling apart and there's buckles everywhere. Like, I want to know how it was done back then.
Yeah.
And now I love to sew. I mean, that's that to me, that's relaxing. I love just sitting there and sewing carpet.
That's funny. So I mean, basically, what you've kind of said, what I like and get out of it is that by getting into the sewing, you're looking at the actual craftsmanship of it. Anyone can kind of get a roll and kick it in and power stretch it in, and not that there's not skill involved there, but it's kind of like you're taking it to a different level when you're hand sewing and binding and doing all that kind of stuff and making it into area rugs and putting two different types of carpet together to make runners and stuff from one area to another. That's when you're getting into the craftsmanship and the really artsy side. It's the same thing as doing sand and finish work, or the tile guys that are doing, really intricate scribing or putting mosaics in, things like that. Like there's standard installation where we can go get a click together product and throw it in. We can get a roll of carpet. We can stretch it in. You could go and just kind of get some tile and slap it down on a floor. And then there's the art side that actually takes craftsmanship, skill, time, effort, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's like if you owned a Honda or a Kia and your car needs to be fixed, you're going to bring that to the dealership, or you're going to bring that to just a regular mechanic, and they're going to fix your car, no problem. It's easy to work on. Well, if you own a Porsche or an Audi or a Ferrari, you're going to bring your car to a specialist, and that specialist, they're going to charge a lot more, but you know that they are going to do the best possible job that can be done on that car.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's like the pizza delivery guy is a professional driver, and then the guy who's driving in the Indianapolis 500 is a professional driver. They're both driving cars, but they're way different from each other.
Exactly.
That's it. That's a great analogy. I love that. All right, so Nate, you had mentioned that you hooked up with PJ at a CFI convention, but why don't you tell us, a little bit of the history of NFIC and how, like, who PJ is and what he's done.
Yeah. So PJ actually went to Jim Walker because they're of the same generation, and PJ told Jim that these woven pieces need a special skill set. And I think CFI should be training guys to do this. And Jim Walker told PJ that, our plate is full. We're trying to certify as many installers as we possibly can so that we can force the mills to mandate certified installation in order to validate the warranty on carpets. So we just don't have the wherewithal. We don't have the time and the resources to take on something more like this. But we will back you. And actually, PJ has a copy of the article that Jane published in the FCI magazine, I believe at the time, stating that there's a new certification out there. It's woven goods for PJ Arthur, and CFI stands behind this 100%. And if any CFI installers want to do this, and so on and so forth, and they were pushing and backing PJ, so it kind of came out of the same place. PJ and Fred traveled all over the South. PJ was the head of the Atlanta Floor Covering Association at the time. And so they were doing a lot of trainings at PJ's shop for CFI.
Okay.
And he would also do the NFIC certification separately at the same location. And a friend of mine actually went down and got certified at his shop, and he came back with all kinds of stories about how fabulous PJ's shop was and all the equipment he had. And it was just it was like a flooring wonderland, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go down there, but I couldn't get the time and money. I ended up catching up with PJ in Virginia, and it cost me thousands of dollars to fly over there and get my certification. And it was well worth it because the seaming techniques that are not available anywhere else on earth. In fact, there are other old guys, Darius Malkin, and he is old, and I think he's the first one to admit it. He said, I've never seen a Wilton cross seam technique like that before. It's a very unique process that PJ has put together over the years that is just not available anywhere else. And just that one technique was worth all the money and time, to get the certification. So, PJ has got this program built up and has been tweaking it and massaging it and forcing it into, whatever shape to make it fit the clients. He's got a inspection certification that comes with a mill tour that we'll probably be trying to get together in spring. We like to have one out at Bloomsburg to see if people can go and see how the carpet is milled. And that helps understand the products and how to work with them. When you know how it's put together, you can seam it better and deal with it better. It just it rounds out the whole certification. He's
got the sales seminars.
Right, and then we do the sales seminar because we want the sales staff and the installation to be on the same page with regards to these products, because good installation starts at the point of sale.
Yes.
And if your salesman is telling you, promising the sun, moon, and stars, you might want to take a step back and go, why is he doing this? Why is he saying that? You will never see a seam. Okay, is the salesman going to do the seam? How does he know that you'll never see the seam? A lot of guys overpromise and underdeliver, and it's led to the sad state of affairs we have now in the industry.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Is PJ one of the original 15 guys with Jim that helped kind of get CFI going, or did he come in at a later point?
12. There was 12 guys at the first certification, and he was not one of those, but
Okay.
I believe he is in double digits.
Okay.
I myself have a 4-digit certification number.
Well, that's okay. I'm in 5 digits, so.
Yeah, I'm 1291.
5 digits, man. I'm 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm 5.
Yeah.
5 digits.
I'm 17,580. So I
Really?
just got mine. Yeah. So you said you were like 17,4 or something.
452.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So early on in the CFI thing, it's PJ's been around. He definitely knows his stuff. He's been certified. He's involved. He had.
Yeah, he actually has a certification card from some other mill. In the old days, mills would have their own installer certifications, and I think he's got and I'm probably messing this up, so I probably shouldn't even tell the story, but he has a certification card from a mill that he went to this class, and he showed it to Jim. Do you ever see one of these? And Jim goes, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. And he pulled out a card. They were both in the same class in the 50s,
Awesome.
So they're kind of like big brother to each other, or like brothers or whatever. They kind of came off at the same starting point, the same family, where they were the same intent, try to get the skill level and check the skill level of installers and bring them up to a standard, so that we all have the same basic starting point as an installation professional.
Yeah.
It's that original old school integrity, man. Like those guys were, back in the 60s and 70s, like we are now, trying to spread, the involvement and the information and the education. Like that's what they were doing. And, Jim, who started CFI, and his wife Jane, their plate was full.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why PJ kind of ran with the whole natural fibers. It was like, well, I mean, we need somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be here out there to do this. So yeah, there's no one better out there than you. So
sometimes you just got to step up to the plate and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
So PJ wants to be able to get higher end carpets taken care of, certify guys, all of that. So Nate, what number are you NFIC?
I am NFIC certified installer number 87.
Okay, so you're 87. Scott, we just finished the Floored-U-Cation podcast. You said you were like 204?
202.
202, and I know you just finished a class. Do you know what those guys ended up being?
I think we certified all of those guys, and I don't even think we're in the 3s. I think it's still
probably 250 or something.
250, yeah.
Boy, guy, if you're listening, go to Nate. What's the NFIC website?
It's NFIC.org.
Okay, so go on the website, find a class, get in, man. Be a low number. Don't wait till you gotta be 5 digits or something, because it's.
What is it, Nate? Is it .org or .net?
Oh, you know what? I believe it is NFIC at AOL.net.
That would be the.
I just happen to be sitting at a computer right now.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, look it up and let's get the right info out there. But
Yeah, I mean it just shows key. You how of a niche market we are. I mean, there's only a couple hundred of us, and that's the problem. There's way too many guys out there installing these higher end wovens and these wool carpets, and it's not like they're doing them wrong, but they are doing them wrong, and it's not their fault. They just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it starts at the sales. Most salesmen, you ask them, well, carpet is carpet. They have no idea. In fact, I was at Lou Migliora a seminar on woven carpets, and he's telling me there's two kinds of woven carpets. There's your Axminster and there's your Wilton. And I'm looking around the room. I'm like,
velvet.
seriously? He doesn't know that there's three, you know? And he is a self-proclaimed, you know, expert in the field. So I mean, if he can be wrong, you know, who can't be? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of velvets in commercial.
So I mean, obviously, we're pushing a highly skilled
Yes.
part of the trade here, and we want to get guys certified. But what are some of the benefits? Like, I know, so tell me, both of you just were in Alabama, and neither one of you live in Alabama. So like, to me, you get to travel around the country now installing some of this higher end carpet. I would look at that as a benefit, even though I have a family and it would kind of suck to like leave them. And that's one reason why I got into flooring, is so I could stay home instead of be on the road doing the reality television thing. But that is a cool aspect. You can get paid to travel in this trade. So what are some of the other awesome aspects of trying to get into this higher end, more skilled part of the carpet trade?
I could start on this. I mean, I could tell you right now, I've been certified for a year. You know, obviously the guys that really want to explore the NFIC and get certified, they're really, really interested in the craft of this. They really want to learn how to install these higher end goods. They may install them regularly, and they really just want to get that certification. I mean, within the year, I've gotten my certification. Now I'm, you know, training to be a certifier, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with, you know, Nate the Great in Alabama at the Alabama Theater. Historical projects like that are about as prestigious as it gets in commercial. I mean, I think total, Nate, we installed, I don't know, a couple thousand yards of Axminster, something like that, double stick, stairs, the whole 9 yards. But, you know, I've had clients reach out to me because I'm on the NFIC site and have landed projects where they wouldn't use anyone else. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're dealing with carpet that my cost was $138 a yard. And this was, I think the last time you and I spoke, Kyle, I was actually in the middle of this project where it was taking me forever to prep the seams. It was a flat weave. It was a hand tufted piece of material. But I have clients now calling me, like I said, I've got one in New Orleans that wants me to come out there because she doesn't have an installer that's NFIC certified. Mm-hmm. She wants to put a woven piece of prestige on her stairs and have all the serging done on site. Those are the benefits. I mean, it's really, it's getting to work with, you know, master installers. It's getting to work with the most expensive carpets made in the world. And yeah, the money's great. Like Nate said, it's about as lucrative as it gets. You can name your price, but, you know, more importantly, we're the ones doing it correctly. We're the ones that can pass on the knowledge to the next generation and teach them how it should be done so that they can teach it to their next generation. Because let's face it, that's the problem. If we have more and more guys doing the improper procedures, that's going to be the standard in 30, 40 years. Everyone's going to be doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. So without guys like us, I mean, I don't mean to brag or boast or sound cocky, but I mean, we're the guys that set that standard, and NFIC is the gold standard.
Well, and so Nate, let me have you speak a little bit on that. Scott, that's an awesome explanation. I don't think you're boasting or bragging. You've picked up a set of skills and you realize the importance of it, and you want to continue to carry that on and use them. And I mean, let's admit it, we're all businessmen. We're in it to make some money, so we should be able to do that. So Nate, you are what I would consider one of the quote unquote old guys. Obviously PJ probably has a couple years on you, and Scott is obviously a little bit younger, but you know, if there's only 200 something of these NFIC certified installers, and we're already struggling to get young guys in the trade. Like, what is it that you want out of it? Because it probably is a dying art form at this point, and that's one reason why
Sure.
PJ wanted to start it. So what are you trying to do with it and get out of it besides just make a couple of bucks?
Yeah, I'm kind of a flooring nerd. You know, if there is such a thing, then that's what I am. The website is nficnet.com. It's both net and com, so it's nficnet.com.
Okay.
We are unique.
You're right. And so I guess I want to be the torchbearer. I didn't even realize that this was my career until I got certified after crawling for 12 years. You know, so I'm a slow learner, but when I get it, I am totally fixated. I'm kind of laser beam focused. And so, you know, I do want to pass the torch on. And I think it is important to help other installers. And if you talk to me for 10 minutes, you'll probably get at least one or two tips or tricks that you never thought of before, because
I can vouch for that.
I cannot stop sharing. I
have a whole book of Nate's tips. Literally, it's about 175 pages, double-sided.
And it's all out of love. I mean, I love this, you know, this industry put my kids through college.
Mm-hmm.
It bought me, I never thought about owning property in my life. When I started, I was, it didn't take long before I was like $17,000 in debt. And by the time it was all said and done, I owed the IRS $32,000. So, you know, even business wise, I learned by screwing up badly, you know, repeatedly. And so, I won't want to help people avoid the mistakes I made, where they just shoved a roll of carpet in my truck and I didn't even know what it was until that day. And then I have an address. I didn't even know these people existed until just then. And now I'm going to drive to their house and handle their very important flooring investment, you know. And that's just how I lived my life, you know, for many, many years, until I realized, you know, like I said, I'm a slow learner, that there's a better way, you know, that I can handle these sales. And I can, you know, it gave me a whole different respect for a salesman when I had to close, when I had to make the deal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and my income depended on making that deal. But so I'm in it kind of to save the industry and save the craft. You know, there are mercenaries that do this for money, and those are the guys that make it look installed without actually doing an installation. They're using the spike, if they use a stretcher at all, or they're kicking it in, you know. And that might even work with some of these rag rugs down south where it's always warm and humid. Up here in Wisconsin, I learned my first job was a stretch. I learned how to stretch that, you know, right away, that you can't survive without stretching carpet up here. It's too cold, too long
Mm-hmm.
to not stretch carpet. You have to stretch, you know. So I guess I just want to save the craft, not necessarily the whole industry, but the craft end of this. You know, that's where my focus is.
And I think that's very admirable, is that there is so much. Flooring installation has become a commodity.
Sadly.
I can go on Craigslist. I can find that guy to do it cheap. I've had this conversation before. I don't need to rehash it. It's become a commodity. What some of us are doing in this industry is a true art form and craftsmanship, and that is not a commodity. And a good floor installation should be paid for as you should be paid as a craftsman. So that's what essentially what I'm gathering is, okay, well, just throw your phone across the floor. Jeez.
Yeah, I did actually.
I mean, we're sitting here abusing the hell out of our bodies day after day. Well, why shouldn't I make $100 an hour doing that?
Correct.
Right? I mean,
that's exactly it. Is not only do you have a certain skill set that you've invested in to learn, okay, you can work with higher end stuff. You can guarantee your installations. You're abusing your body. You have investment in tools. You have investment in your business. On and on and on and on. And that's where a lot of this comes from. And so people look at you like you're crazy when you tell them, like, if I was to be asked what my hourly rate is, I would start at 100 and go up from there.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it in my mind. But if you went and tell the homeowner that, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. But for some reason, when you tell them that you're only going to be there 5 days and you want $5,000, they don't question it. But if you told them it was going to take you 50 hours and you wanted $100 an hour, they're going to look at you like you're nuts. It's a really funny world.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways around that, and I'm going to veer off into businessman land, but it is about phrasing and the way you present this. The box stores do prevent what they call comparative pricing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this suggested manufacturer retail is $12,000, and most other retailers have this listed for $8,000. But here at Home Cheapo, we have it for $2,000.
Right.
So now you're like, I would never buy anything for $2,000. But if they're saying it's this huge value, and even at another box store, it's going to be more, and I'm saving hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I can do that. So I will do that on a job where I'll say, look, this floor prep is going to be, I took up your carpet and I found this weird thing under here, and they had some cardboard stapled in here, and that really wasn't doing it. I'm really going to have to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
So, some guys would probably charge you, hundreds of dollars for this, or it's not really going to cost thousands. And some guys would charge you hundreds, but I'll do it for $75, and they'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just come right out and say, yeah, this is a $75 repair, I'm like, what? $75? I'm already giving you hundreds. What is
Correct.
Then they start with questions. So by using the comparative pricing model, you can actually finesse the money out of them much easier.
I mean,
that's a great tip.
For me, like that's so true. And for me, if I have a client come into my showroom and they are bidding, I will happily give them this sample of the, this piece of Antrim or Crescent hand tufted flat weave. I said, go to any other floor store and have them make the same promise that I will make. And then we'll talk. And that's really what it comes down to, because they can't. I mean, most stores are going to run away. Oh, we can do that if it's a drop room or an area rug, but if there's seams and stretching and blah blah blah, we can't guarantee this. Blah blah blah. So, yeah, I mean, really, that's kind of what it comes down to.
Well, there's
get them to do apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the hardest part, is a lot of times the homeowners are looking at apples and oranges and pears and peaches, and
right,
they're not comparing them correctly. And so we do come in as the high bid a lot of times, and they don't necessarily want to deal with that. And it's up to us while we're there to explain why we're going to end up higher and what the value is and what you're going to get out of it. And that's, let's be honest. Okay. These certifications technically mean nothing. And I love that I'm CFI certified now. Don't get me wrong. Okay. And I love that you guys are NFIC and all the NWFA guys are all of that. I love all of the certifications, even the CTIs, all of it. But let's be 100% honest. It's a piece of paper from a body that said, we know what we're doing. Okay. And so it was a bunch of guys that sat around and said, this is what you're required to be able to do it. What really matters about that piece of paper is what you do with it. Okay.
Right,
because
yes.
I can go to a class and I can take it. And just because I'm now certified doesn't mean that I have to go back and do it that way. I can still do shoddy installations. I can do bad work. I can not use it to market myself. There's a lot of guys all the time that are like, oh, why do I want to get certified? It doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. Your certification will mean
worse
whatever
yet,
you
I
make
did
of
get
it.
certified and it didn't do anything for me.
Correct.
There's those guys,
Yours,
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, PJ says, more than once when he's doing a class, when you're taking my class, you're going to do it my way. Now, what you do when you leave this class is up to you. But if I ever walk onto one of your jobs and you are not doing it the way I taught you, I'm going to pull your certification.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. We can't police the entire flooring community. There's just no way. But with NFIC, there's not a lot of us. So
Yeah.
I like to believe, and I have that hope, that the guys that are out there that are NFIC are those guys that really are, passionate about the craft, and that they really want to continue that, and like Nate says, pass that torch.
Yeah.
Like we want to keep teaching and teaching and teaching, so that it is not a dying craft what we do.
Well, and I think this is a good time to interject that NFIC is the only certification body to date that has never, and I say that again, that has never had a job failure. No NFIC certified installer has had a job failure to date. So we do hold the bar pretty high, and there are people that don't get over it, but everybody who does earned it and deserves it.
No, and that's amazing. I think that's a huge testament to what you guys are doing and where you're trying to take it, and who's getting involved and going out there. You know, you said that PJ is saying that if he catches you doing something not to standards, he's going to pull your cert. And Jonathan Varden, when we were finishing up the CFI cert, kind of was along the same lines. He was like, if I ever hear of your job failing or something happening, like, I'm going to call you and get mad at you, because you're no longer just representing yourself. I'm putting my name on your certification. And I'm
there's a whole committee involved.
Correct. But they're saying he's vouching that I'm good enough and doing it correctly. And I'm no longer just representing my company when I say I'm CFI certified. I'm representing every CFI certified installer. And that's something I personally take to heart, is if I'm going to actually use this certification to promote myself, that I am different from the rest of the industry, I have to hold myself to that higher standard, because I'm now representing everybody.
Yeah, if you're going to put a CFI sticker on your van and you're going to still use a spike, I mean, that's low, man. Like, you're not a good person. I'm sorry. You're a bad person. And so that's not right, man. Like, it's just, don't use that. I mean, I've got the NFIC and the CFI logo on my business cards. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I take that, I hold that standard to the utmost respect, man. Like, it really is something I truly believe in, doing it the right way.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I think that at the end of the day, that's what's going to help you get something out of the certification. Guys are always wondering what you're going to get. You get whatever you put into it.
I can't tell you how many times I hear that when I'm trying to promote a certification. Well, what's it going to do for me? You know, and I do try and get as much added value for installers, and I do go above and beyond. We're putting together an online course so that guys can get the information, but they won't necessarily get a certification, but they'll have the information they need to do the jobs properly, which is the ultimate goal. We want the satisfied customers and clients out there. What I found when I got CFI certified, there's an acronym on the sticker: PRIDE. It's professionalism, responsibility, integrity, dependability, and education, the PRIDE, PRIDE. Mm-hmm. And when I felt that, when I got certified, it was the first time I truly felt and believed that what I did mattered. And I had that self-image now that I'm a certified installer, you know, that I was carrying that around, and people saw that in me and wanted me to do their job, you know, because I was carrying myself differently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an intangible thing that you can't say, oh, it's going to make you walk different, but it does make you walk different. And people see you walking that way, and they want that. I want that guy. And I've had clients tell me, I knew within the first 5 minutes of you talking that you were the expert, that you were the guy that I needed to do this, you know? And I've had guys tell me, yeah, you're not the lowest bid, you were the highest bid, but I didn't want anyone else in here after I heard you talk.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, so you're going to get out of any cert what you put into it. But you're also, the biggest thing is you get a brotherhood, you get a camaraderie, you get resources, because, you know, I know that I can at any time call either one of you, and you'll pick up the phone and you're going to give me the information that I'm looking for. Or, you know, I can call up so many people now. Just going to surfaces alone, like, blew my world of how many people that I can actually physically connect with and what I can get. And it's not just, you know, if I had a question about carpet, I can call you guys. But if I have a question about how should I run my business, how should I bid this, how should I do this, that, or the other thing, what do I want to do about trying to open a store, I now have so many different connections because of who I've met and interacted with and built relationships with, that I can actually change the direction of my company at any given time. And I can get the input from people that have been there, done that, and been successful at it.
And ultimately, Kyle, I mean, that mentality is going to change the entire direction of the industry. I mean, the more and more of us that actually start going to like surfaces and speaking with, the reps of the manufacturers and the mills, that's ultimately going to change and really help the installation crisis, because the more guys out there like you and me and Nate that are continuing to go to these conventions and trade shows, and eventually, hopefully, I have hope that these higher end mills, I'm not talking about the regular, pimps and pushers, I'm talking about the higher end mills, are going to demand or at least request that guys like us are the ones installing their products.
Yeah. Well, and
I've got calls from people where it was spec'd that an NFIC certified installer had to be on site during the installation, at least one, and where they invited me to come down there just to stand around. I didn't even have to touch my tools because I had to be the representative NFIC guy on the site.
That's amazing.
And I didn't get that job because they found someone who was closer, because I said, well, it's going to cost me $500 to get on there, $500 to get home, so I need $1,000 before we even start talking about anything else. And they found a guy on the NFIC website who was in the neighboring community, and I didn't get the gig. But it is starting already, where they're just starting to ask and demand qualified personnel be present, because there's just these big jobs that were architects, spec, woven materials. There's too many failures. The stakes are way too high, so they're starting to wisen up and say, yeah, we need experts for this stuff. We don't need an installer. We need an expert,
We need to really change the mills mentality. That's one of the problems, is we really need to get out there and say, hey, listen, we can really, we can turn this crisis around. It's just let us get in there and teach more guys and have our guys install your products, whether it's CFI, NFIC, it doesn't matter. It's just guys that are actually, certified and are taught correctly and care about what they do. I mean, that's where it begins.
Well, I think the crisis is caused mainly by business decisions, not necessarily skill set decisions. Anybody with a knife can go in there and cut carpet, whether they're doing it right or doing it wrong or doing it half right, is second to the fact that guys aren't making money. If you're going to find a better gig, if you're not making money at it, all of a sudden, as a single guy, you've got beer money and you're doing fine. But now as you start having kids, you have a house payment. I need to find a better job, and guys are leaving in droves because they're not making money at this. And that's because of the retailers, I believe. And then by extension, the box stores putting pressure on the retailers by making sweetheart deals with the mills. I'm getting into a little bit more technical talk, but I believe that that's what is behind all of this. So as retailers are going under and being pressured price-wise by the mills, the margins are getting tighter and tighter, and it's harder and harder to run a store unless you're taking more and more advantage of your labor force, which is driving guys out of the labor force. And so we have no young guys coming in. Guys do installations so that they can put their kids through college, and they won't have to do this. I don't want my son to sweat. It's like, okay, well, great. Well, then who is going to do the floors?
That's so true. It's like, the mills that, or the distributors and manufacturers, they're going to keep making money, because when a job goes wrong, well, they just sell more of the carpet. But the retailer has to eat that cost because the job got messed up. So it's a vicious cycle, and it really does need to be stopped. Something needs to be figured out.
Well, so I mean, we talked about it a little earlier that flooring installation is a commodity. So there are guys that'll do it cheaper. Now we're kind of getting into the box stores are making deals with manufacturers to get stuff cheaper because they move so much product, and then they can have it installed, and then they put it into a workroom, and that workroom has to pay dirt cheap rates. And there's a lot of different things going on here. And one of them is that, let's be 100% honest, not everyone should run their own flooring installation company. And not everyone's good at money. Some people are really, really great at putting it in, but they're not great at the numbers side. You know, just because you have a technical skill doesn't mean you should own a business. And there's plenty of that going on as well.
Yeah.
And so some guys are driving down the numbers because they can't run a business.
Right.
And,
It's hard. You can't be an entrepreneur and a manager. Those are two very, very intricate skills that not a lot of people have both of. I mean, I'm the first to admit, you know, I'm that guy. I'm the entrepreneur, the specialist. But a manager, you know, business wise, no, I need to have someone else help me on that part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same, you know, with the box stores or the bigger flooring retailers. Absolutely.
And so there's nothing wrong with working for another installer that owns his company. But we as installers need to pay fair wages. We've got to go out and demand higher wages and then pay higher wages to our guys so that...
Well, just you got to look at what you get to keep. I mean, I did a measure yesterday, and I told the guy I've got a minimum charge for hard surface is $450. That's my day rate. Mm-hmm. And it's just a little bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, it just looks like a little bathroom to you. But to me, I got to pull a toilet and take all the liability with that. I've got to pull all the baseboard off. I got to treat the floor, let that dry, glue it, put the floor down, put the toilet back, put all the baseboard. I'm going to be here all day. So I need a day's wages out of this little tiny bathroom. He goes, well, I have another bathroom. I go, well, I'll do both bathrooms in one day for the same rate. But you know, because it's still going to take me all day. I'm just bounced between the two, and it'll actually make it a little easier to get more material down. But out of that $450, I get to keep $150.
Exactly.
I'm not getting rich off of the $450. I keep about 30 cents of the dollar. I use a very conservative bookkeeping method because I was $30,000 in debt to the IRS. You better believe I'm conservative. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty damn conservative. Sure.
I'm 100% with. I take 40% off the top of every check that comes in and set it aside in a separate bank account. And if I need it,
what we do.
I have it. And it's not. That's what we do. And I try and live off I try and pay everything else for the business, the tools, all my house payments, everything, including my taxes, out of that other 60%. But it gives me a cushion if I need it. If I hit a slow month, there's some money to cover me, you know?
You can raid the tax account. Yeah,
exactly.
Or if I have to go to surfaces, I have the money for that, you know?
Or if I have to do 2 home shows in 2 months. No, absolutely. I mean, it's just like, when we say we're worth $100 an hour, people don't realize, you know, $35 of that goes to the IRS.
Exactly.
You know, then we've got to pay our helpers, our fuel, our materials, our insurance. I mean, hell, we've got a 1% earnings tax out here in freaking Missouri. I mean, it's not $100 an hour. We're lucky if we're walking away making $60 an hour, and we're killing ourselves, man. We're abusing the hell out of our bodies, and we're doing a fantastic job for our clients, and the end result is something that they're happy with, that we're proud of, and that's going to last. You know, as long as it's going to last, because we did it the correct way.
Well, it's like football players. You're lucky if you can do it past 40, you know?
Right. Yep.
So, you know, you have to make the money while you can. And so not only are you making your money for today, which is my 30 cents on the dollar, but I've got like 10 or 20 cents on a dollar that goes into my retirement account because I started late. I'm a slow learner, but I want to have some money. I don't want to live in a one-room shed eating cat food. I want to actually, support myself in retirement,
No, that's exactly it. Is we've got that abuse on your body is worth something. And whether the client wants to realize it or not, if they're balking at your price, you've got to educate them. And I've said it to people before. I'm like, look, I'm out here and I'm going to put this damage on my body, and I may not get years with my grandkids where I can like run around and play with them, I want to, I need to be compensated for that. I'm sacrificing something for you, And in return, I need some form of compensation. I'm not only giving you time, but I'm now giving you part of like my body can only take so much abuse, and then I'm giving you a quality install. All of those things are worth money, and you need to figure out what that's worth to you.
Yeah, but some people are just price shoppers, and you can read them and you find out right away. You know, I've already
Correct.
fired the customer many, many times. Like this guy with the $450, and I thought his eyes were going to bulge out of his head, you know. And so I explained, you know, look, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. And he still was like, well, I'm just going to have to look at my finances. I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to hear from this guy again.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I charged him $75 for the measure. So I'm getting paid for that hour, you know.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that's good. A lot of people don't charge for measures, or they charge, but it goes back into the sale. I mean, that's
Yeah, there's
something
ways
I
to build it
don't
in,
do.
but if I don't get the sale, then building it into
Yeah.
the sale doesn't count. You
Yeah.
get nothing then. So I charge up front and I refund half at the time on the final invoice. So I'm charging you $75 now, but I'll give you 35 back on the final invoice. So I get $35 for this hour.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It basically pays for your gas.
and
Yep.
and I tell people, you know, if you buy from Home Depot, you sign the contract saying you're going to buy from them, and then they'll give you the free estimate because they know that your name's already on the contract. In other words, you're already paying in advance for the measure. You know, so there is no free measure. Nobody gives a free measure.
Correct. Whether they, you know, we all
I'm just
say
more honest about it than other people.
exactly.
Right,
we
right,
say we do
yeah.
free estimates, but if I'm landing, you know, I think my number's like 3.3 out of 10 jobs I'll land. I'm like 33% or something like that.
Oh, those guys do free installations, don't they? I mean, you know.
Correct.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean,
They've
They
got
have
a
ro-
bunch
they
of
have-
guys working for free, I thought.
The robots, they have robot
yep,
installers.
that's it. But you know, if you're only landing a certain amount of your estimates, that time is getting built into your well, it should be getting built into your labor somewhere. You should be getting compensated for all the time that it took you to write up those 10 estimates and go and measure them and send them out and do the phone calls and the follow up and all of that. Like that price
Right.
should be built in somewhere into your quote. Like if you're shortchanging yourself there, then you need to reevaluate your numbers. And honestly, if you only increase your prices by a quarter on just installation alone, if you're at like $2 and you go to 225, I guarantee you will see thousands of dollars at the end of the year in your bank account that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, just by rounding up, you can, you know, collect a pretty penny. And I found that even my little tiny van is my whole company is my van. You know, by driving the speed limit, I save about $1,000 a year by going the speed limit. You know,
That's crazy.
because my van, the wind resistance on it makes my mileage like half. If I go from 50 to 70, it halves my gas mileage.
Yeah, but you're doing like 160 miles an hour from Alabama to freaking Milwaukee.
Right. Well, you know, I have the money in the bank for that one trip. You know.
You gotta pick and choose your battles. No, honestly, I got a new truck, and so I went from like this old 2001 Expedition. I got a 2012 F-150 now, and the
Nice.
Expedition I was getting 12 miles per gallon, like average between like everything I was doing, pulling my
Oh.
trailer and driving in the highway without it and all of that. And now with the F-150, I'm at like 14.5, which isn't like a huge increase. But when you're looking at the entire year, 2.5 miles per gallon adds up significantly.
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Yeah.
Oh gosh,
So
yeah.
you know, and I'm still getting paid the same mileage rate. So it's, you know, what's gonna benefit me more is I'm gonna spend less on gas, but I get paid the same mileage rate and can do the same amount of miles, but I spent less.
Yeah,
on
I
gas.
totally cheated on that truck thing. I got a 6-banger, and it was a half ton, and I added 2 leaf springs, so now I can carry almost a ton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but I still have the 6-banger, so I'm getting like 16 to 18 miles a gallon.
Yeah. There's lots of ways.
And it was
to get
huge because my
creative.
old GMC Maxi van I had, I think I was lucky if I was getting 10 or 12 out of that beast. It was a 6.6 liter V8.
Jesus.
If the speedometer went, I could just use the gas gauge as a mileage, you know,
Jeez.
to figure my speedometer, you know.
All right. So we've gotten, I love where we went, and I think there's a lot of great business advice. I think we covered NFIC a little bit, but if somebody comes to an NFIC cert, what are some skills that they're going to learn?
Well, we have the double stick installation technique, which is one of the better and most misunderstood and abused installation techniques. A lot of failures happen because guys don't do it properly, and we teach how to do it properly. And mainly, the main part of that is let the damn glue dry. If you capture all that moisture under the carpet, bad things happen. It will happen. It always happens. Don't do that, you know.
Yes.
But there's a lot of techniques around that particular installation technique, or so also the different types of weaves, how to recognize the different types of weaves of carpet. So when someone puts a roll of carpet in your truck, you know what the hell it is and how to deal with it, which is key. There's so many different types of face yarns and different types of backings and different types of weaves, different types of padding that you can go over, and different type of surfaces that you need to deal with. And I don't know any other trade that has to have that much technical skill and knowledge to do it properly as carpeting.
Right.
Most wood guys, you have a saw and a truck and you're good to go.
Lies.
Is a little
Lies.
more involved.
Don't insult my wood friends.
Well, it's a little more simplistic. Obviously,
as long as your moisture reading is good.
Right. No, but I mean, there are different types of wood, and you have to know, how to treat different ones.
I'm giving you a hard time, but no, there's
so
you wood guys hate the fuzzy stuff. I know.
So yeah, there's that, and then on the salesman front, just have to teach these guys how the installation is going to go, so they can't overpromise or they don't overpromise, and also what they're selling, and how to sell these particular products. And then for inspectors too, because they are just as poorly informed about these products, even though they've been around since the pyramids in Egypt, for crying out loud. You'd think we'd have this down by now. So teaching them how to recognize and what could possibly have happened or didn't happen at this installation to cause the problem that they're inspecting for. There's a lot of things going on there, and that is a real high tech thing. And I found that by taking the inspector course, it made me a better installer.
Okay.
By doing the salesman course, I became a better installer. Everything I learned, I apply to the installation because I am an installer. It's what I do. But
yeah, it's understanding the construction of the product you're installing. I mean, if you know you're going to go out and install a piece of carpet that costs upwards of $70, $80, $90 a yard, get a sample of it, deconstruct it, try it, put a seam together. You should be doing that anyway. Don't just go out there on a whim and say, oh yeah, we're going to wing it. No, you need to actually know what your product is. Deconstruct your seams in the product and work with it. Get your hands in there and really start really seeing what that carpet, how it's constructed. I mean, these aren't carpets that you just straight edge and seam together, or row cut, hopefully, and seam together. I mean, these are much, much, much more involved than your day-to-day, piece of
tufted,
tufted carpet, your show hawk carpet. I mean, it's there's a lot more involved, and that's for me, that's where I benefited the most. Like, it wasn't the hand sewing. I love to do that. It was actually learning how this carpet is made. And when you learn that, you can learn how to unmake it, and then learn how to remake it. And that, to me, that was, not just the Wilton head seam or cross seam. That is gold. But it's just an overall understanding, an overall knowledge of how this stuff is made. Okay. To me, that's been the biggest, the biggest thing for me is definitely, how that's done.
I always say you got to know the rules so you know how to break them, and it sounds like that's what you guys are going to teach. Is you're gonna be there. You're going to teach me how to understand it so that I can work with it in the best way possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've been after CFI and NFIC, going back to our earlier conversation, to try and integrate some business skills, but they're so afraid of getting charged with price fixing and whatnot that they don't want to, try and approach that. But I think if a guy, he can get as good as he can get with a knife, but if he can't handle himself at the desk, all is lost. You make the money with the knife, but you keep it at the desk. That's
Yes.
where you learn how to keep the money.
Yeah.
So, I can't stress it enough. Get your business together. And if you have to take a night school course in business, do so. Even a simple accounting course, will help you a lot.
Yeah.
I've been reading a whole lot of books lately. My wife has gotten me on an audiobook kick. So
There
yeah,
you go.
definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's so I mean, you're saying that you'd love to see NFIC or CFI kind of push the business stuff, but that's what Floor Academy was born out of. Is that I went looking for info in the flooring world to be able to find this kind of stuff, and it didn't exist. And so now here we are able to talk about it, discuss it, get it out there, promote it. And so that need is being met, but it's not being met at a high enough level, in my opinion, yet. And
Right.
but I've been around 5 months. Like we'll get there. It'll take time to grow. So
okay, here's the tip this will make this whole thing. You've been listening all this time. Here's the tip that's going to pay off for you. You can take and write off a bad debt on your income tax. That's right. If a guy doesn't pay you $500, you can take that $500, deduct it off your income through QuickBooks or Peachtree, the accounting software. There's a procedure for that in those accounting software. And if your accountant isn't doing this for you, then you should get on them about it, because it's a way to manufacture deductions with your own computer. Yeah, it's
true. This is Nate the Great's tip number. Hold on, let me look at the book. 439.
When I found out I can generate deductions with my own computer, I'm like, oh my God, I've gone to heaven. This is the greatest thing on the face of the earth. So when people stiff me, I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, another deduction, no big deal. Yeah,
correct. You can make it work if you have a.
I had these church interiors people. They stiffed me for like $6,000. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's a $6,000 deduction. That actually has value. That's worth it. And I wasn't about to sue a company out of South Carolina, because there's no way they would show up for small claims court. I could send them summons till doomsday. They're never going to show up. So I was powerless. So I just took my $6,000 tax deduction and moved on. There's bigger powers at play to balance the scales. I don't have to get justice every time.
So let me ask this, and it's a question I keep meaning to ask and not working in. So Scott, thank you for reminding me. You push that your wife is having you on a book kick. So what's one you've read lately, and the gist of it, and why should we read it?
How to Be a Badass at Making Money by Jennifer. What the hell's her last name? It's Italian. Cerchillo, something like that. Okay. That's a great book. I also just finished reading the one-page marketing plan. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good book. So yeah, I'm kind of on this whole marketing kick. I need to get this business marketed, so that's what I'm doing. I'm learning how to market. But let's face it, I'm an installer. I'm not a freaking businessman.
I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to be both.
Yep. And Nate, what do you got? You got any books that you've read
lately?
I
got Stop, Ask, and Listen: Proven Sales Techniques to Turn Browsers into Buyers by Kelly Robertson. And there's so much in here. And a lot of it was stuff I already knew. I just didn't have the terminology to vocalize it. But, like as an installer, you learn how to read people. You walk into the house, and in 10 seconds, you already know this guy's going to ask a lot of technical questions. Is he some kind of engineer? And then
Must be an engineer.
You find out he's an engineer. Yeah. You knew it before he even told you. So like reading people, but then being Irish, I talk a lot more than I listen. Learning how to listen was key, and that makes sales a lot easier. If you just listen, they'll tell you what they want. They'll tell you what they're going to spend. They'll tell you everything if you just listen.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I very much appreciate it. You both have great insights. Let's go ahead and plug anything we need to plug. Actually, before we even get there, when is the next NFIC course or certification, and where, when, and how much?
We are building one in San Diego. It's $1,000 a piece. Per student. It's a 3-day certification, and you're going to get more than your money's worth. We do not have a date set. We do not have a location. We're in the process of putting it together, but we've already got from services enough guys from the Los Angeles and San Diego area to put together a certification. We're building it right now.
Okay, and
I
then
think
there's
the next one I believe is in Tampa. Tampa's coming up pretty soon. March.
They're on the
3rd.
website. Yeah, there is one.
There's one in Tampa. I believe it's March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Or
well,
whatever that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is.
okay, because I know Dan and Denise are signed up.
Yeah,
for
they're-
that, Dan Churchill. So you can go hang out with him. He's going to it. He's going to get certified. Yeah, they said something about Tampa. So go on the NFICnet.com and you can find out about that class. I'm assuming there's still room.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think there's
Okay.
there's a couple of open slots.
So
Yeah.
there you go. Do that.
Two or
You're putting together one for the West Coast. It sounds like. Are there any others scheduled at this point in the year?
Oh, that's a PJ question.
Yeah, I really don't know
Okay.
what he's got in the works, but I'm sure there is stuff being built. And if you contact PJ through the website, his email and phone number is on the website. You can get us to come to your town if you get 10 guys together.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I know Nate and I would love to start maybe doing several classes a year here in Kansas City. It's very central. Nate's about 8.5 hours away from me, so it wouldn't be that hard for him to come down and do a class of 8 to 10 people. But yeah, we're always looking for guys that are interested in learning more about the craft of what we do.
Awesome. All right, so we've got. Go ahead and Scott. Go ahead and plug anything you wanna plug. And
Oh wait, no.
our guys can
Age
get
and
you.
beauty before me. We need to start.
Oh, all right.
Well, I don't want to really plug myself, enchantedflorist.com, but there you go. I did that. I like tracks, better tools. These guys have been behind NFIC and been giving us materials to use on our certifications for many years, and they're very generous with us. I personally like crane tools. They do a lot for me on a personal level, but
And they have that no spike sticker on their stretcher head, which really makes me love crane.
Yeah, right. That's worth gold right there. So, and I guess that's about it for me.
Okay. Scott.
I'm gonna plug myself. I'm Scott Zito, owner of Bellavoro Carpet and Luxury Flooring out here in Kansas City. If you need to get a hold of me, www.bellavorocarpet.com, scott@bellavorocarpet.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'll give you my number. It is 913-730-6166. Call me if you have any questions. If you're interested in NFIC, like Nate said, check out the website. Call me. Reach out to Nate. We'll get you hooked up with PJ. And hopefully, all you guys out there, want to take it to the next level.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining me, covering this. It's something that I personally think is important, even though I don't ever touch anything fuzzy. But anything to promote.
You're doing
education-
God's work, Kyle.
I don't know about that. I'm surprised.
You're doing the flooring God's work.
Okay, maybe that. No, education is obviously huge. That's what we want to promote here. So get out there, get certified, read a book on. Man, I don't care what you read a book on. Just go pick up a book and read a mystery novel or something, or go get like a old school boxcar children book. I don't Cat in the Hat.
I love the Boxcar Children. They were awesome.
Yeah, dude.
You're not a Hardy Boys guy? That's more your age, isn't it?
No, that's a little before my time.
That's-
A little bit.
Though I did
PJ's
read While the Clock Ticks. That's probably their best one.
PJ's a Hardy Boys guy, probably.
Probably.
But no, I mean, look, honestly, just pick something up and read it. Listen to a podcast, man. I don't even care. Just get your dome ingesting something new besides the same standard BS that you hear all the time.
Reading the instructions that come with stuff.
No.
That is really helpful because it gives you the vocabulary. When I was in school and the teacher would be like, remember your vocabulary? I'm like, fuck you. But, knowing the right vocabulary is key because you can say then I'm going to have to put tack strip around the perimeter instead of I'm putting these tack boards around the edge. You just sound better. You sound more professional if you learn the terminology of the industry by reading the instructions that come from the materials from the industry. It's really that simple.
Well, and it's funny how much better you can install a product when you read what the manufacturer says should happen.
CYA, brother. CYA.
Kyle, I do have to give you credit for something, and I don't remember what we were talking about. But you had said something about the art of the installation at some point. I don't remember when or how or where or who, but that really stuck with me. And I've actually turned that into my slogan, where the passion of our craft becomes the art of your installation.
I need 5% from now on.
Yeah. Nice.
See, guys, this is the business.
Hold on, let me call my lawyer.
See, guys, this is the business stuff we're talking about. So now he's ripping me off. That's trademarked, and I need residuals. But no,
I'll show you my stair wrap technique. Don't worry, we'll be even.
That'll definitely make me break even. Seriously, thank you so much. You both have great insights. I love what you're doing. Thank you, Scott, for just getting invested at a younger age and wanting to promote the craft. Nate, thank you for taking your years of wisdom that you were slow to get on board with, but have fully embraced now, and sharing it, and going out and promoting it. The industry would be at a loss without guys like you. So thank you for joining us and being willing to continue to spread the wealth of knowledge that you have.
It was an honor being here, man.
All right.
Love what you're doing, buddy.
Thank you. We will probably do it again soon, one or both of you, or who knows what we're gonna have happen, but we'll get it there.
Awesome.
Cool.
Talk to you guys later. That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floored-U-Cation Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you'd like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooreducation@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/flooreducation. If you need a discount on your tools, check out toolsforflooring.com and use discount code FLOORED for 5% off. Remember, your education never stops.